Alexandra. These truly are career-defining moments.
These moments are the ones that forge a career's legacy. We saw it in the tears on stage, through Alex Eala's profoundly moving speech that resonated with an entire nation. She approached the podium bearing the immense burden of over 100 million aspirations, and in that moment she truly did. The venue was overflowing with sporting legends, emotional supporters, seasoned athletes, and a media contingent that believed they had witnessed it all. Under the harsh glare of the spotlights and in a silence that was almost tangible, Alex Eala, the golden child of Philippine tennis, the prodigy shouldering a country's dreams since she was a teenager, stood with shimmering eyes and a wavering voice that captivated everyone. "You have demonstrated to all of the Philippines what resolve and honor truly are," she started, her voice breaking with the emotional weight of each word. "But now I must declare this." In that instant, the digital world erupted. Welcome again to Court Vision Plus, your exclusive home on YouTube for the raw, unfiltered, and deeply compelling truths behind the most significant narratives in professional tennis. And I assure you, if you believe you understand the complete story of Alex Eala's path, you need to brace yourself. We are about to guide you through the anguish, the sacrifice, the brutal online attacks, the stunning comeback victories, and what is arguably the most emotionally charged speech a Filipino athlete has delivered in a generation. This isn't merely a sports report. It's an epic saga, the kind of material that inspires Netflix documentaries. So get comfortable, because Court Vision Plus is delving deep into this story today.
For a school trip.
To fully grasp why that entire auditorium was plunged into a state of shocked silence when Alex's voice faltered at that microphone, it's necessary to look back, far back. One has to comprehend what it signifies to be chosen, not in the abstract inspirational quote sense, but in the tangible, demanding, and inescapable sense. It means your entire childhood is fundamentally different from that of your peers. While others her age in Manila were navigating high school life and making weekend plans, a young Alex Eala was packing her bags, bidding farewell to her family, and getting on a plane to Spain. This wasn't a holiday or a student exchange program. She was headed for the Rafa Natal Academy in Mallorca, one of the planet's most rigorous and unforgiving athletic training centers. A place where raw talent is merely the price of admission, not a promise of future glory. Consider that for a second. A teenage girl thousands of kilometers from her home, honing her skills under the same roof as one of tennis's all-time greats. The pressure was immediately dialed to its highest setting, leaving her with no alternative but to deliver or fade into obscurity. And all the while, the Philippines, a nation where basketball is a cultural cornerstone, Manny Pacquiao is revered as a demigod, and major games bring traffic to a standstill, was watching her every move. Every single match, every score, every lost set, and every failed tiebreak was scrutinized. The entire nation had collectively anointed her as their tennis messiah, and the expectations mounted more swiftly than her ranking points.
Beginning to suggest that maybe, just maybe, today is not your day.
However, there's a harsh reality about expectations of that scale. They don't just serve as motivation, they can also be crushing. They shadow you into the locker room following a grueling 3-set defeat. They sit beside you in a quiet hotel room at 2 a.m. as your body aches and your mind replays every unforced error. They whisper doubts in your ear during warm-ups, on changeovers, and in those gut-wrenching moments when you're down a break in the final set. The crowd has gone quiet, and the commentators are starting to gently hint that perhaps this just isn't your day. Alex Eala has coexisted with those whispers for her entire professional career, and the reality that she continues to stand, to compete, and to fight is an incredible feat of resilience, built on athletic tape and sheer force of will.
Every single stumble in real time, and asked loudly whether the hype had always been bigger than the player.
Now it's time to discuss the parts that the highlight reels and glossy magazine features conveniently omit, because Court Vision Plus isn't interested in telling a sanitized version of the story. The internet was often a hostile environment for Alex Eala. For every viral highlight of an incredible shot or every celebrated tournament win, there was a legion of armchair critics and social media trolls ready to dismantle her. They dissected her physical conditioning. They scrutinized her forehand technique in slow-motion replays, pronouncing it fatally flawed. They speculated in comment sections about her mental fortitude for the punishing grind of the WTA Professional Tour. The consensus among them was that while the junior circuit was one thing, the elite players on the senior tour would ruthlessly expose her weaknesses and send her ranking plummeting. When her transition from junior star to professional inevitably hit difficult periods, as it does for every player without exception, the critics sharpened their digital knives. There were periods where early round losses in smaller ITF events were portrayed as the beginning of her decline. Injury scares had her supporters holding their breath while detractors nodded with a sense of validation. Matches were lost in tight third-set battles that felt like they could have been won. And the unforgiving nature of social media chronicled every misstep in real time, loudly questioning if the hype had always outpaced her actual ability.
Been playing the kind of clutch, ice-vein tennis in the moments that matter most that you simply cannot teach.
But here is the narrative twist that her critics utterly failed to anticipate, and it's the element of this saga that will give you profound, genuine goosebumps. She absorbed every single negative word, every comment, every piece of criticism, every veiled comparison to other junior stars who had failed to make the professional leap. Yet instead of succumbing to the pressure, instead of quietly becoming a footnote in Philippine sports history, a cautionary tale of unfulfilled promise, she converted every syllable of that skepticism into motivation. She returned to the gym with renewed intensity. She went back to the practice courts, hitting thousands upon thousands of forehands until her technique became irrefutable. She transformed her serve from a liability into a formidable weapon. She meticulously studied the strategies of the established WTA veterans she was being compared to and began to turn their own tactics against them. Subsequently, the victories began to pour in, and they arrived with the force of a tidal wave. Over the most recent phase of her career, Alexandra Eala has been on a streak of performances that have sent genuine tremors through the professional tennis world. We're not referring to wins against other rising players. We are talking about Alex Eala stepping onto the court, facing seasoned professionals and systematically breaking down their games with a powerful, high-bouncing topspin forehand that has veteran analysts searching for new adjectives. She's been battling through qualifying rounds and emerging victorious. She has faced down match points, real heart-stopping moments where her tournament life was on the line and refused to yield. She has demonstrated the kind of clutch, cool-headed tennis in critical moments that is impossible to coach.
A player that the top of the WTA draw cannot afford to ignore.
You either possess that quality or you do not. As it turns out, Alex Eala has it in spades. The entire dynamic around her in the players' lounge has shifted in a way that reveals everything. In elite sports, the locker room never misleads. The athletes know who the genuine contenders are. They understand who needs to be scouted, who requires special preparation, and who is a serious danger in any tournament draw. The consensus emerging from tour insiders is that her name is no longer discussed with the polite, condescending respect reserved for promising young talent who might one day become a threat. Her name is now spoken with the cautious, focused attention that top-tier stars give to players who pose a legitimate risk to their ranking and their tournament aspirations. This represents a monumental change. It's the point at which the entire story arc pivots. She isn't just winning matches anymore. She's winning them in a manner that leaves a lasting impression. She is constructing points with a tactical maturity and physical power that compels her opponents to perform at their absolute peak just to remain in the match. The heavy topspin she produces from the baseline results in a punishingly high looping ball that forces her rivals deep behind the baseline, robbing them of time and shrinking the court. Her movement, once considered a weakness by critics, has been dramatically enhanced and is now a true asset. Her serve, previously pinpointed as the most vulnerable part of her game, has been re-engineered into a potent weapon that starts points on her terms and sets up her punishing ground strokes. Systematically, weakness by weakness, she has remade herself into a competitor that the top echelons of the WTA can no longer afford to overlook.
She still intends to conquer.
A great opportunity for me. Win or lose tomorrow, I think it's great for me to learn. Obviously, facing a player like Coco is, something.
Now consider all of that athletic and competitive development, and combine it with the unique, intense pressure that accompanies being a national icon in a country as deeply committed to its sports heroes as the Philippines. Hidilyn Daya's lifting that Olympic gold medal barbell was a moment of national spiritual significance. Manny Pacquiao entering the boxing ring has been shown to genuinely decrease crime rates and clear traffic, as the entire nation pauses to watch. These figures are not just athletes in the Filipino cultural landscape. They are embodiments of national pride, living proof to the world that this archipelago and its warm, determined people can compete on the world's highest stages. Alexandra Eala has been drafted into this same hallowed position. While she never sought it, she has embraced the role with a dignity and gravity that speaks volumes about her character. Every time she steps onto a court with the Philippine flag stitched onto her attire, she is doing more than playing a tennis match. She is sending a message about the possibilities for every young girl in Manila, Cebu, or Davao who picks up a racket with dreams of playing at Wimbledon. She stands as the living, breathing, backhand-slicing evidence that one's origin does not dictate one's destiny. And that talent, combined with a relentless work ethic and blazing determination, can bridge the gap from the public courts of Southeast Asia to the most revered arenas in global sports. That is a massive responsibility, one that is ever present. It accompanies her on every flight, in every hotel room, before every match, and particularly in those raw, drained moments after a tough loss when all you crave is to be a regular person who can have an off day without it sparking a national debate.
Coming for the top 10. She was coming for the Grand Slam courts, and she was coming to win.
We celebrate our multicultural, and I tell you what, we have some good Filipino whānau in the building tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
This all leads us back to that stage, that microphone, and those eyes gleaming with the reflection of everything she had endured, everything she had overcome, and everything she still plans to achieve. The auditorium was packed with individuals who knew the meaning of sacrifice. There were veteran Filipino athletes who had shed blood for their medals, coaches who had dedicated their lives to the often thankless task of nurturing talent in a nation lacking the infrastructure of traditional tennis superpowers, and parents who had deferred their own dreams to provide their children a shot at greatness. These were not mere spectators. They were individuals who could feel the weight of Alex's journey in their own bodies because they had shouldered similar burdens. When she gazed out at them with those glistening eyes, they saw a reflection of themselves. "You have demonstrated to all of the Philippines what resolve and honor truly are," she stated, and within those words lay a lifetime of appreciation for everyone who had helped forge the path she was now navigating at top speed. She was paying tribute to them, acknowledging that her success was not a solo effort, that no champion ever stands alone, and that behind every spectacular winner and every earned ranking point is a web of sacrifice and support extending far beyond the player holding the racket. But now I must declare this. The ensuing pause was dramatic in its duration and suspense. The collective energy of the room seemed to lean in. Then she spoke, not with tears of defeat or the weary resignation of someone broken by the path, but with a fierce, brilliant clarity that sliced through the quiet like a perfectly executed down-the-line winner. She announced her goals without apology or hesitation. She was finished with being the promising up-and-comer. She was done with being the feel-good underdog. She was targeting the top 50. She was targeting the top 10. She was targeting the Grand Slam arenas, and she was coming with the intention to win.
The promise.
Roland Garros, Wimbledon, Melbourne Park, Flushing Meadows. She listed them off as if they were items on a to-do list, destinations already confirmed, dates circled on a calendar that was hers alone to see. This was not a display of arrogance. Anyone in that room who interpreted it as such completely misunderstood the gravity of the moment. It was a statement from someone who has put in the exhaustive work, paid the emotional and physical price, weathered the criticism, and conquered the doubt, emerging on the other side with an unshakable conviction in her own capabilities. This was the moment the prodigy officially transformed into the predator. It was the sound of a generational talent finally granting herself the permission to be as exceptional as she always knew she could be, while challenging the world to even attempt to stand in her way. The video clips of her speech spread across social media with the speed of a Serena Williams forehand, swift, powerful, and utterly captivating. Filipino fans expressed their emotions openly in comment sections. International tennis journalists shared the video with the kind of amazed commentary typically reserved for established superstars. Former champions reacted on their own platforms. The entire narrative surrounding Alex Eala had been fundamentally reshaped in the course of one extraordinary speech, compelling even the most entrenched skeptics in the tennis community to concede that something truly special was unfolding. This was no longer a player hoping for a breakthrough. This was a player announcing its arrival.
Building the ranking to make the unthinkable not just possible but inevitable.
What makes this entire narrative even more gripping, and even more deserving of the full court vision plus dramatic analysis is what lies ahead. That speech was merely the prologue. The declaration has been made, the challenge has been issued, and now the tennis courts of the world await to see if the performance will live up to the promise. The WTA Tour is not a sentimental arena. Ranking points are forged in the fire of real competition against elite athletes who have no intention of facilitating someone else's inspiring journey at the expense of their own careers. The players Alex has now put on notice will be analyzing her game with a new intense focus. Opposing coaches will compile thicker scouting reports and more intricate strategies. The target on her back will grow larger with every rung she climbs in the rankings. Yet, if her competitive results over the last several months are any indication, if the evolution of her game has shown us anything, and if the steel in her voice during that powerful speech means anything, it is that Alexandra Eala is not fazed by any of it. In fact, she is fueled by it. She is the type of athlete whose performance level rises in direct proportion to the challenge before her, who plays her best tennis when the stakes are at their highest and the room for error is smallest. These are the rarest and most precious attributes in professional sports, and she possesses them in a quantity that ought to make the entire WTA Tour profoundly uneasy.
This is Court Vision Plus. We will see you on the next one.
Alexandra, so many emotions right now. First of all,
the Philippines has given the world legends. It has produced fighters, both literally and figuratively, who have reached the highest echelons of global sport and represented their country with a level of heart and pride that has moved and inspired audiences worldwide. But a Grand Slam singles champion, that particular aspiration has remained unfulfilled. Until now, it has existed in the realm of a beautiful, distant dream, something Filipinos might dare to whisper about but never fully voice aloud. Alexandra Eala is in the process of transforming that whisper into a deafening roar. She is meticulously building the game, conditioning her body, fortifying her mental resilience, and accumulating the ranking points to make what once seemed unthinkable not just a possibility, but an inevitability. That is the narrative the world witnessed unfolding from that auditorium. That is the story that prompted a nation to reach for tissues. That is the story that has the global tennis community watching with a blend of eager anticipation and a touch of apprehension. And that is precisely why Court Vision Plus is here, to ensure you don't miss a single dramatic, emotional, and history-defining moment from the world of tennis. Now, we're passing it to you, the most dedicated and insightful tennis community on YouTube. Do you believe Alexandra Eala is on a certain, unstoppable path to a Grand Slam victory? Or is the gap between her current rank and the sport's absolute pinnacle still too wide to cross? Is she the athlete who will finally place Philippine tennis on the ultimate map of global sporting achievement? Or will the relentless, unforgiving nature of the full WTA season eventually wear her down? We want to hear every controversial take, every courageous prediction, and every fervent opinion you possess, and we want them in the comment section immediately. If this story resonated with you as it should have, do us a huge favor and demolish that like button. Every like helps more tennis enthusiasts discover incredible stories like this one, and Alex Eala's journey is one that deserves to be known in every corner of the globe. Share your thoughts, your forecasts, and your unwavering support for Philippine tennis below, because the comment section on Court Vision Plus is where the most important conversations happen. And if you're not yet part of our community, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button and activate the notification bell so you're the first to know whenever we release a new story. We can assure you, the journey of Alex Eala is set to deliver many more moments you absolutely cannot afford to miss. This is Court Vision Plus, and we'll see you for the next one.